Unfortunately, in the normal times, the how do I put it? Your value, the value that procurement should get, only keeps going down because everything is running perfectly, everything is going on normally. Procurement is taking care of stuff. So the business, the main business, the operation side, tend to forget that actually procurement has a very important role. That role gets highlighted during such times when there are tectonic shifts. When businesses start to struggle, when business really fumbles around and there are major upheavals, is when businesses realize that, oh, but everything is dependent on procurement. Procurement is actually the backbone for us, and we need to take care of procurement. Categories of companies that we've seen. Now, some companies have been better prepared than the others to mitigate this impact. There are some companies who are prepared, but were only able to respond to an event like this in terms of how they supported the business. And the third set of the companies are which are like completely scrambling around, and they were in a very bad shape because they were not prepared. So now, when we say that there were companies who were prepared to mitigate this impact, is essentially most of them were either global MNCs or they were large entities, and they had developed and implemented very advanced supply chain management kind of an ecosystem and implemented business continuity strategies. Their supply chain or their procurement was not dependent on a single geography, but they had geographic perspectives to reduce supply side risks. They were multi-sourcing commodities or supplies or services which had strategic components, and there was no dependency on a single supplier or two suppliers. They had built a portfolio of suppliers, so they were multi-sourcing. They had an inventory strategy in place, and therefore, when the supply chains got disrupted, they had enough buffer stocks to be able to sustain these organizations for maybe a month or 2 months in between till the normal supply chain kicked in. Now, the second set of the companies, why they were only able to respond to this event was because they had built a strong relationship with the vendors, with the key suppliers. Now, they were leveraging these relationships to pressurize vendors to be able to support these organizations. Now, because of these relationships, which the vendors didn't want to disrupt, they went the way to make sure that some of these organizations got the adequate support, they got the adequate supplies, the services that these organizations were looking for. Were they able to do this with 100% of the organizations? Possibly not. But only with the critical ones or the few organizations where they had developed very good relationships. Now, the third set of the organizations was they had no clue. Their only focus over the years has been how can I reduce my cost, and drill the supplier, at maybe even 100 rupee difference, change the supplier. I don't care, but I want the cheapest product. I don't care what the supplier background is. I don't know where he comes from. I don't know what his wherewithal is, how financially capable it is. As long as I'm getting the best price or the lowest cost, I want that supplier to be. I will probably source locally from a single geography. I have not created alternates. I don't have visibility into the extended supplier network. I know this one supplier. I know I get my material or my services from him, and that's about it. And when this supplier failed, is when all hell broke loose. This is more about what I would say the more around collaborative working with your supplier. So one aspect is building a supplier relationship, but the supplier or the SRM program, as we call it in the procurement parlance, is more about being procurement-led and managing the supplier. And it is mostly around short-term performance metrics. Normally, it is always unidirectional. So I will, as an organization, as a procurement head within an organization, I would build a relationship with the supplier. I would expect the supplier also to respond. But I would be telling the supplier what I want, how I need things to be done, what is my expectation, and the supplier would normally respond. So from that perspective, it is a unidirectional approach. And it is normally done to the supplier. Versus what this thing has taught us is an element that I've been emphasizing a lot in my previous webinars and lectures and talks that I gave is build a very collaborative ecosystem and an environment which promotes innovation. And it prompts the supplier to come up with ideas, suppliers to bring solutions, suppliers to become partners in building your business strategy. And therefore, it becomes a multi-directional approach and is something that you do together with the supplier, building an environment of trust and transparency. Procurement. Now, matured procurement leaders and procurement staff have always looked at future, have always been in the market, always looking out for new products, new solutions. So, for example, me, I know what my organization requires as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 items, right? So, this is, standard given that I will look at procuring these 10 items. But I'm always meeting up with suppliers, inviting proposals, inviting solutions from suppliers, testing the market, what are the new products or the services or innovative thoughts in the market, what else can we do? Now, a lot of organizations, by virtue of that, have also come to discover that there are vendors in the market who were catering to, say, face masks, or who were providing sanitizers, for example, or different kinds of machines for automatic dispensing, and so on. So some of these staff already knew who the suppliers were versus somebody who had no clue and then was scrambling around. So they were the ones who chanced upon suppliers, and suppliers, because of the predatory nature, wanted to make a quick buck. So they said, oh, a mask costs 10 rupees, but I'm going to charge you 100 rupees because it is in short supply, and they will give a story. And the procurement staff who has not been in the market, who does not know what is available and where it is available, will be forced to pay a premium on these products. So if you are in the market, if you are a good procurement professional who's always understanding what new products and solutions are available in the market, who's building a collaborative relationship with your supplier, who encourages innovation and new thoughts and new products to be brought and introduced to themselves, will always be a step ahead in the market to know what is available at what price points, what benchmarks, who is catering to, what are the sources, and so on. So in terms of spending, obviously, yes, the cash availability has reduced drastically. The cash flows have been impacted. And why it is impacted is that most of the businesses overall, the business has gone down in terms of the volume. And therefore, when you don't have so much of sale, for example, for organizations, obviously your profitability is less, cash available is less. So you have to be very conscious of the fact that you can't be wasteful in your spending. Now, when I say control your waste, is that earlier people would probably order and stock their inventory. Now you have to look at your inventory cost also. You have to look at what is the optimum usage patterns now, with a lot of people working from home, for example, in corporates and in some of these industries, your usage has dramatically come down. Do you still need to order your standard quantities that you were ordering earlier, or do you want to reduce your quantities? How much do you really want to stock? How much of buffers do you want at this point in time when the consumption has gone down? Also, when you talk to your vendors, vendor partners also understand that everybody is going through a tough time. Now, earlier I may be charging, say, a margin of 10-15%, but today I understand that the organization that I'm supplying to as a supplier, as a vendor, I know they're also going through a tough time. Can I reduce my margin and develop a long-term partnership with that organization to say, look, I'm putting a step forward and I'll give you a further reduction. I've seen that with OEMs. Now, OEMs for lifts, for escalators, travelators, DG sets and all, you normally have a preventive maintenance schedule in place, which is nothing but on a routine basis, somebody will come, they'll check the system, but there is a charge to it, there's a cost to it. Now, when most of the buildings are shut down, when the lifts are not operational, when a lot of these infrastructure, the electromechanical infrastructure is not being used, do I really need to charge a fixed fee like I was charging earlier for a AMC, for annual maintenance contract? Can I also modify my scope to say, instead of a monthly check, can I do a quarterly check, which will reduce the cost? Instead of a quarterly check, can I do a 6-monthly check to reduce cost? Do I really need to replace filters in a DG set, for example, if my DG set is not run? Can I look at other ways and means of reducing that cost? We tend to remember something when it suits us, we tend to forget when it does not suit us. Now, the same applies to the organizations also. Now, today is a critical time. There's a lot of dependency on procurement. If the procurement does not step up on its role and does not support the business, more and more businesses are going to collapse. So your managing directors, your CEOs, your CFOs, your CEOs are literally running after the procurement guy and telling them, please, you are the man, you are the boss, you have to like pull things through. But the moment this crisis is over, procurement is just one of those functions nobody really cares about it. Right? And the emphasis always, unfortunately, because in most organizations, the procurement department reports to finance, or the procurement head report end up reporting to the CFO, mostly in a lot of organizations. CFO will only look at cost, irrespective. And he says, for him, it is cost is money. And even if you're spending 1 rupee, it is 1 rupee cost. Why do I need to spend that 1 rupee? Why can't I do it with 50 paisa? So that is the fundamental mindset. Now that is also one of the reasons why a lot of procurement people get frustrated in that organization, because you can't keep reducing cost. Cost cannot be the only criteria.